I know the topic of the death penalty is controversial to some of my leftist listeners, I'm sure. But in the most extreme circumstances, it is definitely appropriate, at least in my opinion anyways. It might not be appropriate in your opinion, but in my opinion, it is. And in the kingdom of the Pogo Islands, my country, in the most extreme circumstances, with irrefutable evidence of the most serious crimes humanly possible, yes, it is authorized. What's up, everybody? It's Zach, the Celtics guy here, back with another video, second video of the day. Yes, I told you guys I was going to be here. Since, today, I'm not going to be able to stream today because my grandfather's birthday party is later. So, Tuesday night, tomorrow night, 6 p.m., I'll be streaming instead. See y'all there. Anyway, second video of the day to tide you guys over on crimes that should be punished by death on the Pogo Islands. I have talked about on numerous occasions. But this crime, I don't think I have yet to talk about on this channel. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm sure most of you know what this crime is. Aircraft hijacking. That should be a crime that should, in fact, be a capital offense. 100%. 100%. It's an act of terrorism. And any act of terrorism, in my opinion, at the very least, you should spend the rest of your life in prison if convicted. Now, like I've always said before, as a leftist, I am only tough on crimes that have a victim and have a detrimental effect on public safety. So if it has a victim, it should be a crime. Prisons should only be open and they should be up, and the only people that should be in prison are criminals that committed crimes that have a victim, like murder, arson, kidnapping, robbery, assault, just anything. Terrorism, aircraft hijacking, reckless driving, anything like that. So yes, all those types of certain things. I mean, we'll go even further. I mean, corrupt politicians, obviously, definitely. Fraudsters, counterfeiters, forgers, those types of people. But aircraft hijacking as a crime, this is one of the most serious crimes humanly possible. I'm sure most of you have been on an airplane before. Yes, I'm sure most of you have been on an airplane before. But let's talk about this little crime here for a second. And it's not like a little crime. I'm just talking about it a little bit, if that makes any sense. Aircraft hijacking is one of the worst crimes humanly possible. Do you understand just the detrimental effect to human life and to public safety that aircraft hijacking results in? And the fact that it's committed as an act of terrorism. It is an act of terrorism, and therefore it should be punished by death, or at the very least, the rest of some person's life in prison. On the Pogosian Cerulean Island, this is another island of the Pogo Islands, aircraft hijacking, not just aircraft hijacking, is punished by death or life in prison. Assault with intent to hijack and conspiracy to hijack. So even attempting to hijack will also trigger a death sentence or life in prison. Or conspiring with another person to also commit the offense of hijacking an aircraft is also punished by death. That should be punished by death. The reason it should be is because it's, number one, it's an act of terrorism, and it's one of the most grave crimes humanly possible. And the fear of immediate death or grave bodily injury is through the roof. And it's the fact that you're not going to sit there and tell me that an aircraft hijacker would not reoffend if they were ever released from prison in the future. The recidivism rate amongst aircraft hijackers is extremely high. You're not going to sit there and tell me that an aircraft hijacker is not going to reoffend in the future. Because by and large, they usually do. Especially if they're hijacking an aircraft for a radical extreme purpose, like a religious extreme purpose or something like that. Okay? So, yes, aircraft hijacking and those who commit that crime, or assaulting someone with intent to hijack or conspiring to hijack, should never, ever see the light of day again. Never. Someone who commits any act of terrorism, we're talking any act of terrorism, whether setting a fire, with a terroristic intent. Terrorism is the use of violence with a political purpose or with any other furtherance of a violent purpose. Setting off a chemical, biological, or explosive substance. Anything like that should result in someone spending the rest of their life in prison, even if no person died. So even if an aircraft hijacking ends completely safely, nobody was injured, nobody was killed. It's the fact that you committed such a grave crime against an aircraft, whether it's parked on the ground or it's in the atmosphere, doesn't matter. In the Pogo Islands, under my laws, it's irrelevant. Aircraft hijacking can occur whether it's on the ground and hasn't left yet, or if it's in the atmosphere. If it's an aircraft that's in the Pogo Islands, it has jurisdiction depending on which island it is. Not only that, aircraft hijacking is considered to have been committed the minute the person enters the flight deck. So the minute any hijacker enters that flight deck with the sole intent of hijacking that aircraft, taking control. Hijacking means seizing or exercising control by violence or threats or force or violence. So the idea of a person going into a flight deck with that intent to hijack, you have committed the crime of aircraft hijacking at that point. You have completed the crime. How would the crime be attempted? That would be if the door was locked and you were attempting to get in, but you failed. That's an inchoate offense. An inchoate offense means you attempted or you conspired to commit that crime. An inchoate offense is an attempted or incompleted crime. You attempted to commit a crime, but you failed to complete it. So that would be assault with intent to hijack. That would be unsuccessfully trying to get into the flight deck, but you failed to get in because you got tackled to the ground or something like that. If I was on board an aircraft, do you think I'm going to sit there and wait? You think I'm going to sit there and let it try to end peacefully? Yeah, we saw what happened on 9/11. It didn't end well. So no. As a result of that, no. I would fucking take someone down. That would be self-defense. That would be self-defense of not just my own life, but everyone else's life as well. 100%. So, aircraft hijacking is considered to have been completed, at least in the Pogo Islands. I'm talking about the Pogo Islands here, my country. You have completed the crime the minute you enter the flight deck, even if the plane doesn't take off. Even if the plane is parked on the ground and it hasn't taken off yet. If you enter that flight deck with that intent of getting in there, and with intent to take control of that aircraft, you have committed aircraft hijacking. And therefore, you will be punished for aircraft hijacking, depending on the island. On the Cerulean Island, it's punished by death or life in prison. On the Pogo East Island, both hijacking, completed aircraft hijacking, assault with intent to hijack, and conspiracy to hijack is punishable by a mandatory sentence of life in prison. You will suffer imprisonment for life upon conviction, and that is mandatory. Or in some rare cases, you might get an indeterminate sentence, which means you are imprisoned indefinitely so long as you're a risk to society. And the minute you get out of prison, which I don't think they should, by the way, but I'm just saying in a hypothetical sense, I'd make sure that you'd be on parole for the rest of your life. And the minute you step out of line in any way, you get too close to an airport again, you're put on a no-fly list, and if you get too close to an airport, you go right back to prison, 100%. You're on parole for life, you're supervised for the rest of your life, and that's the end of that conversation on that part. Aircraft hijacking is one of the gravest crimes humanly possible. So as a result, it should result in the gravest penalties possible. And if you make the argument that a hijacker should get the death sentence, I would not be opposed to it. Because of all of the lives you have put at risk, the act of terror that you have inflicted on society, and the fact that aircraft hijackers pose an existential threat to society. The fact that the recidivism risk is that high, they should never be free again. You should never see the light of day again. By doing so, you're just eliminating a problem. An aircraft hijacker is a problem. So by putting them in prison for life, or just executing them, you're simply eliminating a problem. They are a problem that you are eliminating. They are too big of a problem for society, and there's no worth or risk to public safety that should keep them around. It is not worth the risk to public safety to keep them around. At the very least, they should never, ever, ever be eligible for parole or benefit from any kind of release from prison. In my opinion, aircraft hijackers at the bare minimum, so if you're opposed to the death penalty, okay, fine, I can understand why. There's all sorts of loopholes and all that other stuff, but that's a whole nother conversation. At the very least, any act of terrorism, aircraft hijacking included, should result in an automatic sentence of life in prison with no possibility of parole. 100%. Mandatory. No eligibility for a lesser sentence under any circumstances. It should be a life felony. Life felony. Life felony. Spend the rest of your life in prison. And if you make the argument it should be a capital crime, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. Like I said, I'm mixed on the death penalty, but I think in the most extreme, extraordinary circumstances, I think it's appropriate. As long as you have irrefutable evidence that the person did it, and there's zero hope for rehabilitation, I'm more than okay with that. And an aircraft hijacker, I would have no problem with that. By doing so, you're eliminating a problem for society. So yes, as a result, yes, eliminate them. Aircraft hijackers are a threat, and therefore, they should be eliminated. 100%. Figuratively speaking as well. That's about it for now. Thank you for listening to Zach's Legal Lesson. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with more videos and other stuff in the works. Stay tuned for more, including my stream tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Look out for it. See you all there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video, in the next stream, and more stuff on the way, coming your way soon, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now. Take care. Have a good day. Stay safe. Be well, and keep fighting. Bye for now. Peace out. Have a good day.